know this might be a little bit dark. I'm going live on both. We're going to be live on YouTube and we're going to be live on Facebook at the same time right now. I'm giving people some time to come in. I got stacks in my hand from debt that is being sold on the market right now. Millions of dollars worth of debt. I'm going to be going back and forth on the screen here, but millions of dollars worth of debt collections, charge-offs, where people are going to be getting letters from these debt collectors. Are going to be trying to get this money. They're buying these debts for pennies on the dollar. They're buying these debts for pennies on the dollar. If someone could, please, I want to make sure that you can hear me on both. If you can hear me over here on YouTube, please let me know. Let me see here. If you can hear me on YouTube, let me know, because I'm going to be running down the amounts of debt that is being sold, and then I'm going to tell you what you can do about it if you have debt collectors that are going to be sending you letters to collect this debt. So I'm giving some people some time. What we're going to be talking about in this video today is we're going to be talking about the debt that is being sold on the market, millions of dollars of credit card debt, student loan debt, all types of debt, payday loan debt that's being sold on the market. And if you have potential collections out there, you're going to want to be aware of what you can do about it. And there are some distinct problems that I see right here on these documents, right here on a lot of these debts that are being sold. There is a direct problem with each one of them, and you need to know about this, and I'm going to reveal it in a few. I just want to give some more people some time to get on here to see this. But with the debt, these are credit card debts, payday loans, all types of debts that are being sold by debt collection companies. So now let's get started. Let's talk about it. The first one that we got here is credit card debt over $749,000 worth of credit card debt. The next one is $750,000 in credit card debt. The next one is $964,000 in credit card debt. And the charge-off date was 2010, 2009, 2008. If anyone knows the problem with that, please type it in. If anyone knows the problem with those dates, please type it in. The next one is credit card debt from various banks, Wells Fargo, GE, Fifth Third, even some shopping network loans that were given out. 1.4 million on one, 1.49 million on another one. Charge-off date is 2011. The next one here is we have 666,000 in credit card, Sears, Best Buy, $1.1 million in GE Money. These are credit cards, or these are some of the ones that are used on that people use for the department store card. Another one, $1.44 million in department store cards. The next one here, and the crazy thing about this one, they actually sent this to me on a Sunday. That's how hot the debt collection market is. It's so hot that they even sent this off on a Sunday. $2.9 million that's going on the market. And this one is a mixture of, let's see what the credit card debt. So the credit card debt is very bad right now. This one here, NSF checks, bad checks written by people, $589,000. They're going to start going after those. Here's another one from the jewelry stores, Sterling and Kay's Jewelry, $733,000, $734,000. And let's see here, another one. Here's some more from the shopping networks, 500,000, 750,000, 1.2 million, 3.2 million. 500,000, 1,000,000, 1,250,000. Now, real quick, you want me to tell you how much they're buying this stuff for? Just to give you an example, for the one that's $1.2 million, you want to know what they're paying for that debt? They're paying $2,482. So if you divide that number by what they're getting, this is why these debt collectors are going crazy for this, because they're paying really less than a penny on the dollar for these debts. And so this is what you need to do. If you find that you're getting the debt collections letters from them, the first thing that you need to look at is the charge off date, the original charge off date. Because what almost every one of these, except for one, was past the statute of limitations for almost every state in the United States. The statute of limitations for the state of Wisconsin is 7 years. If they have not contacted you for 7 years, you haven't made a payment for 7 years, from the original charge-off date, the debt is valid even though you may owe the debt. The debt is 100% invalid if you owe that debt because of the charge-off date. So the first thing you need to do when you get a letter in the mail from a debt collector is you need to look on your credit reports and see the original charge-off date. If they have not sued you and taken you to court and got a judgment, then all you have to do is write to the collection agency. And I'm looking back and forth because I'm on YouTube on this screen, I'm on Facebook on this screen. But what you have to do is you just write the attorney and you tell them, because of the statute of limitations in the current state that you live in, that the charge-off date was at whatever date it was, the original charge-off date, and that according to the statute of limitations for your state, you do not have to pay that debt, that you're not legally obligated to pay that debt. Also, if you ever call a debt collection company back from a letter that you got, or you listen to what they say, they are starting to put that into their recorded message, or from the agent when they talk to you about a debt collection, they'll actually tell you that you are not legally obligated to pay it. They're notifying you of that, but the way that they say it, it makes it to where you it passes over, it goes over your head, or because you're stressed out because of the debt, so you may not understand that when they say that you're not legally obligated, but they'll say that you are morally or you're ethically obligated to pay the debt. That's what they'll say. If a debt collector calls you or you call them and they have that message, that means that the debt that they're trying to collect from you, you are not legally obligated to pay that debt. So the next thing that you do, so number one, the first thing is you look at it, get the letter. It is not an actual bill. What it actually is it's asking you, do you want to dispute or validate the debt? But it'll have it in the bottom like it is a bill. But if you look at it, you have 30 days to do that. If you don't do it within the 30 days, you are legally going to be obligated. Well, they can take the next step, which is where they'll put it on your credit reports. And then once they get it on your credit reports, the next step, they're going to go to try to take you to court. If they get a default judgment, then you're going to miss out on your ability to make the debt go away simply because it's past the statute of limitations. Now, if it's not past the statute of limitations, the next thing that you need to do is you need to do what's called a full validation to the debt collector to make them prove that you legally have to pay them for the debt, and they need to provide all the documentation pertaining to the debt. So if it was a credit card debt, they need to give you the original contracts. They need to give you all of the loan documents, everything, anything that you charged on the credit card. They must provide that when they buy it from the original creditor. Like when these companies buy it from the original creditors, they can't just buy the amount that you owe on the debt. They must provide them all of the documentation to legally show that you even had a legal obligation to the original creditor. If you don't do that, then you're giving up your right to be able to not have to pay the debt, or you're giving up your right to not having to pay the debt collector. They may have to send it back to the original creditor because they don't can't provide all of that documentation. And then if they sold it to the debt collector and they try to send it back, it's just going to be forgiven. So you won't even have to worry about the debt. So now the next step is if that you validate it with the debt collection company, and you also send a validation to the original creditor. The original creditor is probably going to say that they sold it to a debt collection company, or they assigned it to a debt collection company to to uh, uh, to collect the debt. If they sold it to them, that's when you validate the debt collector. If they assigned it or they assumed it, then you need to validate both the original creditor and the debt collector. You may be saying, why do I need to validate with the original creditor if they hired someone to collect it for them? It's because you have a legal right, and that's where you could find any type of technicality where if there was a problem with the paperwork or something that didn't get done legally by the original creditor, they would choose to forgive the debt rather than having some type of legal issue with you with the way that they handed over your third party information to a debt collector. So that's the next step. So if they validate it with them, either the original creditor or if they purchased it and they got all of the paperwork from the original creditor, then the next step is to go to settlement. And that's probably the hardest step for people to want to deal with, because they want to keep running from the debt rather than dealing with it. But I'm telling you, it'll be better to deal with them on a settlement than to have them take you to court and get a judgment against you. But now let's just say that you forgot, or you have a situation where you ended up getting a judgment against you. Then the next thing that you could do is, if it's not past 6 months for the state of Wisconsin, you have six months to go back to court and to make the court validate, where you had opportunity to validate the debt and do everything that I just talked about earlier. If it's past 6 months for our state, it may be different for your state. If it's past 6 months, then you're going to have to go through with a settlement process. And you could do it one of two ways. You can call up the debt collector and you can try to negotiate, or you can try to get a middle person to negotiate in between. If you do not have the money to pay the debt collector, where you can't do a lump sum settlement, the next step, they're going to try to garnish your wages. If they try to garnish your wages, you need to be prepared to fill out what's called a garnishment worksheet. In our state of Wisconsin, they give you a worksheet, and we also have what's called poverty guidelines for garnishment. Now, you don't actually have to be in poverty to not be able to be garnished, but if you have a certain amount of dependents and you don't make a certain amount of money, in our state, they will not allow you to be garnished. There are certain states that don't allow garnishments at all. But if your state allows garnishments, every state has either a poverty guideline, or they give you a worksheet that will show what's the maximum amount that could be garnished from your paycheck. A lot of people fail to do that for some reason, because they're like, there's nothing that I can do about it, and they don't request the documentation. It's in the packet. Your HR will have it. It's in the packet. They must give it to them, and you fill it out, and it'll let you know how much can be garnished from your paycheck. And I'm just, if you came on late, I'm looking back and forth because I'm on Facebook Live here and I'm on YouTube Live here. So that's what you would have to do, is you would have to fill out that garnishment worksheet. And then at some point you could, what you could do is later, if you come into some money, or there's a ability to where you could pay it off in a lump sum, you can call the debt collector, and then you could work out a lump sum payment to stop the garnishment. If you have a garnishment that's already in place, you can look up your poverty guideline or get the garnishment worksheet. It's not too late. You can actually stop a garnishment if you have a garnishment that's going on right now. You can actually stop it. So if you have any questions or any comments, please put them on there. You can visit our website, thecreditrepairshop.com. We're always willing and ready to help you with your debt and credit repair questions. Thank you. And I've enjoyed this live stream and this Facebook Live.